Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
Welcome to another episode of the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. My name is Alex Morgan, and I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP. And did you know that one of the easiest ways to be successful is to allow yourself to discover your authentic self? So having self-awareness, self-reflection, and putting intentional efforts into doing exactly that. So what if there were practical ways that you could explore your true self, that you could create your ideal future, you could automate success, you could get predictable results? So as you listen to this, you may be wondering, and it's a good thing to wonder. So maybe you can wonder about what it is that you want to achieve as you become your ideal and authentic self. So as you listen, that means you can think about that if you want. You can think about what you'll see, what you'll hear, what you'll feel, what you'll say to yourself, even what you'll smell and what you'll taste, being your authentic self. How much time do you spend each day focusing on your authentic self, living your truth, listening for your truth, hearing your truth, speaking your truth, and really feeling like this is what it's meant to feel like to be your ideal self, your authentic self? So this is a lot easier than most people think. So wherever you're listening, maybe the room, maybe outside, maybe in your car, maybe that also has feelings of being your authentic self, and know that anytime that you go to this place that you're listening to this, it will remind you to really be your authentic self as well. So the first thing that you can really do is engage in self-reflection. Now, you can write about your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. You can reflect on what truly matters to you and how you feel about your daily actions. Now, a lot of people ask me when they do trainings, how can they kind of get rid of limiting beliefs, get rid of things that happen during the day pretty quickly and pretty easily? Well, what they can do is they can zoom out and they could look at that day on like a timeline in their mind. And they can notice the different things that happened and how they felt about these different events, these experiences, the things, the conversations, the interactions that they had throughout the day. So notice in your mind, or you can write this down, how did you feel about certain things? What thoughts do you have from that day? What did you experience during that day? And then reflect on that and let go of anything that isn't going to serve you becoming your true authentic self, and keep anything that really is going to help you be your true authentic self. So if you zoom out and you have a habit of doing this every single day, soon enough throughout the day, you won't even have to do it at the end of the day. Throughout the day, this is going to be automatic and natural in your mind, and it's going to be easy and effortless, so you become your authentic self every single minute of every single day. You can also spend quiet time alone to connect with your inner thoughts, with your feelings. So choose a place where you're free from distractions, where nothing can bother you. There's no external influences. You're connecting with yourself internally. And this is how you connect to your authentic self. This is where all your resources are, your thinking, your things that you want. You already have all the resources inside of you to achieve. Just think about how much time you actually spend self-reflecting on those resources. And are you actually using those resources to get what you want? Because many times we're deleting those resources. They're there. We're just not aware that they're there. So think about, what resources can you use inside of you to become your authentic self? And how do you hold certain beliefs? Are the beliefs that you have when you zoom out on each day, are these beliefs getting you what they want? Are they aligned with who you genuinely are? Because if they're not, then you need to let go of those beliefs. You can ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And what can I do instead? And this will start to flip your mind into new possibilities, into new opportunities. You'll have new choices. So that's one way to really become your authentic self, is you need to self-reflect. And you can do that in any of the ways that I mentioned. I think it's a really good habit, regardless of whatever way you do it. That's the whole thing. You're building a new habit in your mind to become your authentic self, to speak your truth, to speak your mind. And this will not only help you, this will help other people around you. Because especially if you're in the business of helping people, and especially helping people create their ideal future with their mind, if you have clients and you're really authentic yourself, your clients are going to be speaking their truth to you. And when they're speaking their truth to you, they're also going to get the results that they want. And they're probably going to get results they haven't even dreamed of yet, because they'll start to consider different things, because maybe they haven't been who they truly want to be this whole time. And that's actually one of the common problems that people have, is they don't know who they are. Because if you truly knew who you were, would you really have any problems? No, because you would know your beliefs. You would know how to master your emotions, your communication. You would have the environment, how you want it around you, where you live, the people around you. You would know who you are and who you want to be around. And you would also know your values, your motivations. And that's another way to connect with your authentic self and really become your authentic self, is to clarify what really matters to you. A lot of people, they see people doing things and they'll ask me, they'll say, hey, Alex, why is that person doing that? I'll say, I have no idea. We need to ask that person. Why are they doing what it is that they're doing? And the way to do this is to make a list of your values. Now, I've had a whole other episode just on values, so you probably understand this concept already. However, I'm going to review it really quickly here, because you want to know how well your authentic self aligns with your values, because your values are what's important to you. They're what motivates you. So if you want to have unlimited amounts of motivation every single day, the way to do that is with your values. And your values, you're going to put time, money, and energy into achieving these things. So you're going to know what you want to achieve at all times when you know your values. Don't you think that would make it easier to be your authentic self? I think it would. So you're going to ask yourself what's important to you about, and this could be your business, your relationship, your career, your health, your fitness, your personal growth, spirituality, whatever it is, a certain task, a certain goal. What is important to you about blank? And then your unconscious mind, because values, most of them are really unconscious. There's something you're not even aware of yet. That's the wonderful thing about doing this exercise of eliciting your values, is when you do that, things are going to motivate you all of a sudden that you didn't even know you were motivated by. Imagine that boost in motivation. So you're going to ask your question, you're going to allow your unconscious mind to empty out several different times. So ask that question, write down some values, ask it again, write down some values, ask it again, and then write down some values and allow your unconscious mind to empty out at least 3 times. And then you're going to have a list of values. And then you're going to put those in order. Ask yourself which ones are the most important to you, and have about 4 values. And these are going to be the ones that motivate you the most. I say 4 because after 4, the motivation kind of drops off. At most, you want to have about 6. You will see that you won't be as motivated by the 10th value, the 12th value, the 18th value, the 22nd value as you are the top 4. So once you know that, this is a great way to be your authentic self, because you're going to know what motivates you all the time. You're going to wake up feeling motivated. You're going to go throughout the day feeling motivated. You're going to go to sleep. Maybe you cleared out that day. You have that habit already. You're going to feel good at the end of the day because you were working for a purpose. You know what's important to you, and all the actions, the thinking, the resources that you were using throughout that day, that time, that money, that energy that you put into your values, you're going to know it went to something good, something worthwhile, something that is most important to you. And how wonderful is that? The third thing that you can do is you need to have a willingness to experiment with new things and new experiences. Most people, they just go through their whole life, or most of it, or lots of it, where they never step outside of their comfort zone. So ask yourself now, how often are you trying something new? How often are you meeting new people? Are you discovering new skills, new resources, a new network? Are you discovering new ways of thinking or interests or passions? Is there something that you haven't explored yet? And what if you were to explore something like this? What would that get for you? And what would that allow you to do? And you can challenge yourself by stepping outside of your comfort zone into the growth zone. And if you listen to this podcast, you know there's the hyper growth zone, where you take a small risk and you can get such big rewards that it makes stepping into that hyper growth zone seem automatic and natural. Seems easy and effortlessly once you try new things and you put a good intention to that with a good feeling. Then truly anything is possible, and you can start to create your ideal future. You can automate success. You can create predictable results. So if you want to be your authentic self, you need to have a willingness to experiment, and you really want to have curiosity all the time, because what if you start to see, hear, and feel in a different way just because you're curious and have a willingness to experience? You're going to find out so much about everything around you and everything inside of you. You're going to see that maybe there's so many different things and experiences that you want to have that you haven't experienced yet. And when you start to consider those things and those experiences, you'll notice that once you start to contrast and compare what you've experienced before, that there's so many things out there that may be more authentic and genuine and real and exciting, that you want to keep stepping outside of your comfort zone. Because the wonderful thing about the mind is once you stretch it to a new place, it doesn't want to go back to where it was before. So know that your authentic self, it will always be changing, getting better, evolving, expanding, however you want to look at that. The fourth way is you need to seek feedback, really genuine feedback from people that you trust. So ask trusted colleagues, friends, family, anyone that you know, that you like, that you trust, and ask them for insights on how they perceive you. How cool is that you could ask them how they perceive you? And then compare that with how you see yourself. And then you can use this feedback so you can grow, you can change your motivations, you can see what's important to you. Not that you want to conform to their expectations. However, it's interesting to get feedback from people. And did you know that most successful people, they get feedback in a certain way, and then they choose whether or not to apply that feedback so that they can get better at something. So if you want to get better at being your authentic self, why not ask people how they perceive you and compare that to how you perceive yourself? Either way, it'll be interesting to see. And you can just tell people that, hey, I want to see what you really, really think of me, how you perceive me. What do you really think? Because I'm trying to get better. I want to really start to achieve more and be my authentic self, and this will really help me do that. I'm sure people will be open to giving you feedback, and that will seem easy for you once you do it just once. It's not something that you have to do all the time. I think the other things that I mentioned already may be more important. However, if you do have an external frame of reference, then you'll definitely want to be getting feedback along the way anyway. And how do you know if you have an external frame of reference? You can know by this question. Do you know when you do a good job? Do you know internally, or does someone else have to tell you? And if someone else has to tell you, it's fine. That means you have more of an external frame of reference, which means that usually when you buy something, you like to see some social proof, some testimonials, some different case studies, other success that people have. It just means that you have an external frame of reference. This is an unconscious preference that people have. Me personally, I know when I do a good job, I don't necessarily need to go out and ask other people. Feedback is still really helpful, and I ask for it. I asked for some feedback yesterday because I was writing a blurb for my latest book when I posted on Amazon, The Transformative Power of Hypnosis. So I got feedback from some people about this. So I do ask for feedback, even though I know internally if I'm doing a good job or not, just to see different perceptions of different people and what they think if they were to purchase the book, if it would be compelling for them by reading the blurb. So it's important either way to ask for feedback. That's just some more insight into what is an internal frame of reference versus an external frame of reference. So if you are an external person, then feedback is going to be really helpful for you because you naturally want to ask for it already. And the last thing that I'm going to mention is you need to have a way to practice this authenticity that you want daily. So make small choices that are true to yourself. Start with small actions. Maybe that's saying no to things that don't resonate with you. And maybe you can review a day right now. Maybe you can think about all the things that you've done so far today or yesterday. And think about all the things that you could have said no to that maybe you didn't want to do, that didn't really resonate with you. And if you would have said no instead of yes, you would have been more in line with your authentic self. Another way, after making small choices, and just notice all the choices that you make throughout the day. Are these aligning with your authentic self? And maybe you'll see that they are, and maybe you see that they're not, and make adjustments accordingly. Give yourself feedback. That's a wonderful thing about asking for feedback is you also then know how to give feedback to yourself as well, and that's really important, giving yourself that internal feedback, because then you'll know if you're your authentic self or not. Another way is to be vulnerable. So share your truth, share your authentic thoughts and your feelings with others. And this will deepen your relationships with those people. So the people that are important to you, maybe start to have conversations with them that go a little deeper, that show who you truly are. And then notice the difference that your relationship has when you start to do that, and see if that's something that you want to continuing do. Because if you continually share your thoughts and your feelings, other people are also going to trust you more. And this is going to allow you to step more into your authentic self. And the other thing is you need to let go of perfectionism and instead go for something like excellence. In this journey of being your authentic self, there's going to be things that happen. There's going to be flaws. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that seem like you fail or you didn't do something exactly how you wanted to do. This is all part of the journey and doing this every single day. And all of that, there's none of that. It's only feedback, like I mentioned earlier. So you take that feedback that you notice and you adjust accordingly. If you're trying to do everything such a certain way, then you're never going to be your authentic self, because you're going to have influence from so many other people, and you're never actually going to put out a product and feel like your true authentic self if you're not ever doing something and finishing something and aligning with something. So that's why it's better to make small choices and take small actions at the start, because you'll notice that it's easier to say no to things and finish things, especially when you start them. You don't stop them, you finish them. So some of these things that I mentioned, they require patience. They require self-compassion. I think over time, you'll develop a clear sense, a clear picture. Maybe you'll have a clear sound, and you'll start to just notice things about who you are and what really fulfills you right now. So it's really important to follow any of these so that you can be your authentic self, because I'm sure that's who you want to be if you've listened to this episode of the podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Wherever you are listening, go ahead and rate the podcast. This will help it get into the minds of many others. And definitely reach out to me if you need any help with aligning with your authentic self, especially with something like values. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the next episode.